Mama, welcome to the Mrs. Mummy PhD podcast. I am your host, Dr. Michelle Gibbs, and this podcast exists to help scholarly mamas like you to achieve your life and academic goals without sacrificing what matters most. Here, we're changing the overwhelm, juggle, struggle narrative around what it means to be a mama on an academic journey to one of empowerment, fulfillment, and purposeful success. So how do we successfully navigate these journeys? Well, first, we need the space to embrace this unique blend. Let's begin by saying yes to creating a life that feels as good on the inside as it looks on the outside, because that's when we truly become purposefully whole. So get ready for the most non-traditional, unconventional, and revolutionary approach to PhD motherhood, because one thing I have learned over my many years of experience on this journey is that if you want something different, you have to do something different. But you must be brave enough to think differently first. So, Mama, are you in? Fabulous! Let's begin. These are our journeys of becoming. Hey mamas, welcome back to the podcast. Today we've got a really special guest with us today. I'm so excited. We've got Dr. Kristine Nicki Annunziata. I am so happy to have you here, Nicki. I know you are a mama of 3. You've got a twin and another child, which I don't know how you've managed that, but we'll hear a lot about that, I'm sure, today. You are a nurse by professional background, and you have done your PhD in addiction studies. And I know you've also done your master's degree in addiction studies as well. So I'm really excited to hear so much about this, because I know your journey has been nothing but remarkable. From what I know, right? It's been nothing but remarkable. Your determination, resilience, your unwavering commitment to your academic pursuits, as well as your family responsibilities, are so inspiring. And it's so evident that you faced so many challenges along the way, but your ability to overcome those with grace and perseverance is so commendable. So without further ado, let's get into it. So can you share with our wonderful audience, Nicki, a little bit about your background, PhD journey, and how you actually got to this point? How did you arrive here?
Thank you so much for those kind words, first of all, and the opportunity to share my experience here with you. Well, describing my PhD journey, I always say that it feels like a boat trip, a boat journey. Okay, so when I started, it was all smooth sailing and, looking forward for the adventure. And, a brand new yacht, it was so exciting. But obviously, in open ocean, then there's waves as well and storms, big waves. So it's, try to navigate through those hard times and then go back to the smooth sailing, I suppose. So a little bit about myself. I am half Danish and half Italian, and I arrived in Ireland in 2016. It was only for 6 months, just to learn the language and to kind of get some experience as a nurse, I suppose. And then, I met my husband. So from 6 months now, it's been 8 years and a half.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
So in 2018, then I got my master in addiction studies, as you said.
Mm-hmm.
And just after finished that, just in 2018, in September 2018, then I went to Trinity College in Dublin, and because I thought I could bring this further, my master degree. I wasn't satisfied with the answer I got from my master.
Yeah.
So I proposed that to the university, and this amazing woman, my supervisor, she took basically 5 minutes to realize how passionate I was about the research, but also she was the first person in academia, basically, that she believed in me. She believed in me in the first second that she put her eyes on me. And that feeling I would never forget. So basically, going back to that metaphor of the boat, my supervisor was the one who gave me the keys to this boat and said, yes, off you go. So however, after a couple of months, so that was September 2018, when I said, yes, let's go. I put my husband in this boat, let's sail. But then after a couple of months, so just in December 2018, I found out I was pregnant. And so I said, no problem. My supervisor as well said, no problem. PhD is meant to be a journey, and, life just happens around it. So yeah, it was fine when I found out I was pregnant. But then when I was 13 weeks pregnant, I found out in a kind of traumatic way that I was expecting twins.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So a lot of things happened. I wasn't expecting to have twins for sure, but that happened. But yet we found place, in our vessel, in our boat, in our journey, and we just kind of were happy to have them on board with us. And then I was so happy that in 2022, then we welcomed our baby Ivy, and she is our ray of sunshine.
Aww.
It is a beautiful journey, but I was very, very aware from the beginning that there was going to be challenges.
Yeah.
And also that this journey on the boat was not going to affect only me, and all the challenges that I was going to face were not going to affect only me, but there was other people on the boat with me that would suffer from whatever challenge.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and a lot of people ask me how I did it. I always answer the same. I don't know how I've managed. I just did. I pushed through. I just did. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. Yeah.
Well, I think that analogy there of the boat is such a nice one because, and I actually refer to that in one of my episodes that's coming out, I think before this one comes out, you'll hear it as well.
All right.
But the idea that, you are the steerer of this ship, you are the one in control of this boat. It doesn't mean that challenges aren't going to come, like you said, but it means that we need to find a way to navigate through those and to get the ship from point A to point B with all of our precious cargo on board. And it sounds like you've done a remarkable job of doing that. So I'm really happy to hear that you had that same experience, but also that you were able to find your way to this side of of dry land, I guess.
Yeah.
So what was the moment or the experience that fueled your decision to pursue a PhD while managing full-time work as a nurse and also motherhood?
Well, the decision was fueled by, I suppose, three main objective or things.
Mm-hmm.
So there was, determination, for sure.
Yeah.
There was passion and practicality. So first and foremost, I always been very determined. It's one of my defining qualities, I suppose.
Love that. Love that.
If I set my mind to something, I would see it through to the end. So which sometimes actually might not be the best thing, it can get obsessive. But if I start something, I usually always, finish it. But beyond the personal drive, so this determination as well, this passion, because as I said, I started with my master, and I had just this sparks inside of me that needed to know more about my topic. And I felt like it was going to be, I felt like I was responsible, that I had a knowledge that I needed to just explore more, because as an addiction nurse myself, I am extremely aware of the challenges that we face as addiction nurses. So my topic was about addiction nursing and vicarious trauma. And those challenges are not only affecting nurses, but they're affecting the patients as well. And I've been working for so long in addiction, so I know what kind of challenges people who are suffering from addiction are facing. So I felt a sense of purpose when I just decided to do this PhD, and I needed to finish it. And this sense of purpose just drove me to push through those challenges that I was talking about before.
Yeah.
So determination and passion for sure, but also I want to add that practicality as well, because, as I said, I was responsible for I am still responsible for 3 little humans, and well, not my husband because he just walks beside me. I'm not responsible for him, but like a kind of responsibility when you start a journey like this. My husband just followed me, and he's one of the first fan I ever had. He thinks I'm the cleverest woman in the whole world. So he would just, if I say, let's sail in this turbulence, he would just say, yes, let's go. He just believes in me so much. So I know that I had the responsibility to finish this PhD in the best way possible. But also finance was a crucial factor because I was self-funded. And so that meant that every year, coming September, it was a substantial investment, I'd say, because it is an investment. However, I was fortunate enough that my grandmother was helping me financially, but unfortunately she passed away.
Oh, I'm really sorry to hear that.
Thank you. I dedicated my whole thesis to her. Without her, all my determination and passion wouldn't have been anything. Her financial support helped me. But obviously that wasn't enough. That was just enough to pay the PhD. So I had to finish this PhD as fast as possible. So it needed to be full time.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't do it part time, but also I needed to work full time. So yes, I've done a full time PhD. I worked full time with 3 kids, and said it out loud sounds crazy, but So that's it was a necessity to be working full time.
Honestly, hats off to you, because honestly, like, that is just incredible that you were able to not only navigate motherhood of multiples, right? You had twins and you had another little one, and to be doing that full time, to be doing that alongside a demanding professional role, and to be doing your PhD as well. I think that is incredible. Absolutely incredible.
I just want to add that I am extremely lucky, and I'm going to explain this. I should have mentioned this before because I'm a very positive person. I learned that from my mom. It is harder to be positive than pessimistic, but I am positive, and I believe that every challenge that I faced, and believe me, in this 5 years, there's been a lot of challenges. But I believe that whatever you want to call it, if it's God, if it's the universe, if it's the energy, they put those challenges in front of me just to test me, because I know that there's a lot that's going to happen in my life and in the life of my kids, and they just needed to know that I was ready for it. So, and I'm lucky because everything that happened to me, it happened for a reason.
Yes.
And a lot of mamas that they will be listening to this episode, they face challenges too. Everyone faces challenges. But if you arrive to a point that you actually believe that everything happens for a purpose, the bad and the good, then you can see the challenge as actually a blessing. Because so many times, I am learning still, but so many times I was faced with the most horrible challenges. But then they happen to be just a blessing in disguise. So I came to the realization that whatever happened to me happened for a reason. And none of that really matter, because I have 3 beautiful, healthy kids. I have food on my table. I might not have always had a roof over my head, but I always had unconditional love and happiness. And I was able to give unconditional love to someone. And also I was able to give care and give something to someone else. And I'm not talking just about my patient, but anyone who I meet in the street. So that's what I'm saying when I'm saying that I'm lucky. That's what I mean.
Oh, honestly, that is so, so powerful what you just said there. I feel like I'm going to get tearful
Thank
just
you.
like listening to that, because I know some of the challenges that you've had. We've talked about them, and it just makes the moment of completion, the success that you've experienced on this journey, even more meaningful, because you have done that through so many hardships. And like you said, your attitude to the challenges, the things that you've been through, knowing that everything happens for a reason and that you are here for a purpose, I think is the most beautiful thing, you know, to reflect upon when you think about your journey, because it was hard. Yeah, you navigated a lot of challenges, which we're going to hopefully talk about a little bit more. But for you to even have that perspective is just so heartwarming and inspirational. Like you said, we're all navigating challenges, right? We're all dealing with various things. But to see that somebody has been through the ropes and just through so many hardships, and they're still able to complete that commitment to themselves and recognize the purpose of what they're doing is so incredibly powerful.
Yeah.
I am barely holding it together right now,
Yeah.
because it's incredible. Absolutely incredible. So many congrats to you, honestly.
Thank you. I only developed this, you know, recently. It wasn't always like that. And I want to make sure that anyone who is listening to me now and who wants to listen to me realizes that it was a learning process, learning curve. I didn't wake up one day just, you know, with this knowledge. But I hope that whoever is listening today would just do some mindfulness and think, oh, that might apply to me too.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that's the important thing as well. Like, you know, as we're going through this journey, we're navigating all these challenges, but it's helping us to grow into the person that we are meant to become. And you are perhaps even still on that growth journey. And we are lifelong learners. We never stop growing. But knowing, like, just looking back and seeing where you were and where you are now and conceptualizing that, thinking, wow, like, I've come such a long way. And not only come such a long way in terms of achievement, but personal growth as well, which I think is so, so key.
Yeah.
So in terms of some of those challenges that you've navigated, I know you've had health complications during pregnancy and you've had evictions as well. Could you talk us through how you maintained your resilience and determination in the face of that adversity, and actually talk us through some of those challenges so people can get a really good understanding of what you've actually been through?
Yeah, I think that the key word here is the resilience. And well, determination is just, as I said before, a key part of my being.
Yeah.
But resilience, particularly, is something that it's very, very powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, complication during my pregnancy. When I was 13 weeks pregnant with the twins, at the time I thought it was only one. So I was in this big conference about addiction, one of my first addiction conferences as a PhD candidate. So I was very excited, and few people knew that I was pregnant at that stage. And I just remember I was at a queue to get a coffee, and I just remember I felt this moist and liquid going through down in my boots, and I looked down and there was blood going down, and I ran to the toilet. And the first thought, I know it's crazy when you're in that shock, the first thought was, oh, how embarrassing, I'm bleeding. So I ran in the toilet to hide, and the second thought was, where did I put my coffee? which was absolutely chaotic in that moment. So after I tried to clean myself up, I then realized, wait a second, I'm a nurse. I know what this means. I called my husband immediately, and he then said, and I always been, chilled as a cucumber. And in this moment, I was as well chilled as a cucumber, which was very, very weird. He told me to run to the hospital, basically, get an ambulance, get the bus, something, a taxi, and go to the hospital, which was only 10 minutes away. There was ambulance strike that day.
Oh.
No ambulance available. An hour and a half I waited at this conference full of, psychologists and doctors and people that I knew from the papers that they published, and my supervisor, which I was trying to hide from. I know it sounds crazy, but in that moment, you just don't think straight. So the organizer of the conference came himself to me with his driver to drive me to the hospital after an hour and a half of, you just get stuck in the thoughts of your own brain. I arrived to the hospital. My husband was already there for an hour, for an hour was there waiting for me. And I noticed from his face that something wrong was going on. I was still in that shock phase that I didn't know what to do. So from the triage until I got admitted, they all told me the same, that it's very common in this first trimester to miscarriage. And I knew, I'm a nurse, I knew. So we got in eventually, and the doctor came to do a scan, and I was just looking at my husband because that's what just reassured me. And and the doctor, there was silence in the room, and the doctor said, "Oh, there's 2 heartbeats." So can you believe the roller coaster of emotion that day? Still now, I can't talk about this without, my voice trembling, and seeing my husband crying for the first time. I will never forget this. So it was the most horrific, horrible day of my life, but also the most beautiful one. I don't know if anyone ever had a day like this.
Yeah.
So that was the first complication anyway. I was in bed rest for 2 weeks. It was very hard for an energetic person like me to stay at bed rest. But, it was in that moment, again, I realized that this journey was not about me anymore, or not about me only. There was not 1, but 2. There was 4 legs growing inside me, 4 arms, I don't know how many toes. And so, I had to take it easy. Now, at this point, I was doing my PhD full time, and I was also working full time because I don't know if people know about how crazy Dublin's rent is at the moment. And it was as well 5 years ago. So, that was the first, health complication I had. I also lost memory for a day, which is called something amnesia, temporary amnesia. I had to go through scans because they thought I had a stroke, which just came clean. I was just too overwhelmed, and my body just decided to shut down, basically. So it might have been scary for my husband, but I can't remember anything. Those are my complications. And the multiple evictions as well were kind of hard, particularly if you have small kids. The first one was when the babies were 2-3 months old. The landlord decided to evict us because there was no space for 4 people in that apartment in Dublin. So they asked us to leave. We again, I don't know if the audience know about how hard it is, the housing problems, the accommodation problems in Dublin, but it's horrible. I remember queuing for hours and hours under the rain with small babies, just to see an apartment or a house in Dublin. So eventually, I don't know how, but then again, because I'm lucky, that's how we got this huge house 20 minutes from Dublin in a beautiful seaside area. And I say I'm lucky because, believe it or not, 2 weeks after we moved there, COVID happened. So we were in isolation in this huge house for a year. So that's what I'm saying, lucky, because everything that happened, it just brought me where I am now, talking positively about my evictions. Anyway, after this as well, because of COVID, my husband was let home. And at this point, the babies were 6 months old. And I was still in maternity, but my husband then decided, well, he was let home because he was working in a convention center and there was no convention happening. And I'm a nurse, so I could work. I left my husband home the next day, basically. I said, yeah, I'm going back to work. You stay with the twins. Bye. I went back to work because it's hard. It was hard to stay in isolation with babies, 6 months old, 2 babies. I went back to work then, and my husband stayed at home. He became a stay-at-home dad, which was amazing because the bond that he created with the twins is still amazing. And the fact that he realized how hard it is to stay at home with babies.
Yeah.
And I was so lucky to have a man that felt what I felt before and what all the mamas out there know by fact. The laundry and the food and the cleaning and the changing diapers and this and that. So he learned all of that. And I was grateful of the fact that he realized. And it was not only me.
Yeah.
It's been always 50-50.
So, I mean, I think that is amazing. And you have, as you said, the determination, the navigating adversity and overcoming it is so evident in those experiences that you've described. What you've been through is, they're really hard things to go through, especially with the trauma of the scare of potentially losing your unborn child, and then to be told, oh my goodness, you're pregnant with twins, and then navigating the housing situation on top of all of that. Is incredible that you were able to keep that ship from sinking, really, throughout that process. And again, I am just in awe of you, Nicki, honestly. So I know you talked about your husband becoming the stay-at-home dad and having to navigate fatherhood, right? And you then having to also navigate balancing academic responsibilities and motherhood, which is no doubt a challenging thing to do. How did you manage to prioritize your time and manage the demands of both of those roles effectively?
Well, I would love to say that I'm a very organized person, but I'm not. I don't know. I suppose I was just taking day by day. I was just, okay, I have 24 hours this day. What can I do? What are the priorities? And I've done that day after day after day. I was just living every day. And my husband, as I said, he's always been very supportive. But I'm going to share something with you that I'm not very proud of. But it's a need to say, because, as I said, I think that this episode might help someone out there that can relate of what I'm saying now. So I know that socially, a mom is supposed to say that in the list of priorities, the kids are in the first place, and the husband maybe the second, or in the same place as the kids, and so on and so on. But in the last years, I had to prioritize my PhD. So I'm guilty, and I feel this guilt, and this a little bit ashamed to say that, but it's been true. It is true, and unfortunately, someone has to say this out loud. But sometimes, and I prioritized my PhD over anything else because I knew how important it was to finish it. It needed to be done. I had to prioritize every single second I had free to do my PhD. And by doing so is because I had a very, very supporting husband. We don't have anyone here in Ireland. It's just me and him. We don't have any family or anyone. Whoever we have that help us is because we met them and clicked with them, and I'm talking about my neighbors, which have been amazing. Our family, when you are living in another country, you choose your own family, and they've been our family basically. So yeah, going back to that list of priority, my PhD was number one. My kids, unfortunately, I know it sounds horrible, but they were number two, and my husband, bless him, was number three.
At least he's on the list, right?
Yeah, he was top three. Yeah, he was in top three because we don't have a dog. Otherwise, no, I'm joking.
But just to touch on what you've said, and one of the things that I've realized even about myself is that sometimes a lot of the guilt comes from us trying to live up to expectations and, what are people going to think if I say this, if I think this, if I do this. And also the fact that, especially when you're navigating a journey like this, having a flexible focus. So there are times along the way that you just have to prioritize your PhD because it has to be done. And then there are times where you decide, actually, I want to prioritize my family in this season. So I think this idea that, one thing has to be the center stage at all times, or that, we are expected to prioritize one aspect of our lives over the other because we're mothers, I think is just another one of these unrealistic expectations that really comes down to personal choice.
Agree. But still, because of the society and because the culture we are living in and everything, I think I never heard anyone say it out loud that they prioritize something else than the kids. And that doesn't mean I don't love them more than anything else in this world, because of course they are number one.
Absolutely.
But unfortunately, as you said, prioritizing, it's I'd say the 80% of the time I would prioritize my PhD over anything else because it needed to be done in such a short time. And I basically done a full-time PhD 3 times a week because the other 3 times I was working. So it was day, night, and I didn't had anything. And I needed this PhD to be completed again because of it, so much was at stake.
Yeah.
It was, I really believe that the findings of my PhD and the guideline that I developed will eventually help someone. Now, I only got my PhD, earned it in February, so it's still too early. Yeah. But I am going to conferences. I am going to, write papers about it. It will be helpful for someone out there. So it needed to be done.
And I love that.
There was a purpose on all of this. It's not in vain. And every time as well that I was extremely exhausted, and obviously I questioned myself, if what am I doing? Sometimes I would go back home, the kids would be asleep already, and then go back to work while they were still asleep. And sometimes it was more than 2-3 days before I could actually see my kids. And that point, it was really hard. I was like, why am I doing this? But every time I would say, let this be worth it. This must be worth it at the end. And I can guarantee you it is. That day at the Viva, I felt I could conquer the world. Oh. It is worth it.
The other thing as well that I love what you said there around letting it be worth it. And also what we forget is that as moms, we want to create safety for our family. We want to contribute to that creation of safety. And one of the elements of that safety is financial safety. And, having been through the various evictions and all these other things, like I can only imagine that desire to just create a better life for your family. And I think it's one of the things that unfortunately is not talked about a lot in academia. The fact that we need to support our families, we want to improve our career prospects in order to do that. That's one of the motivations as well. And committing yourself to completing this PhD journey and saying, yes, I really want to do this because I want to do this for myself, but also I want to create a sense of safety for my family or future. And of course, yes, there is the personal sense of satisfaction, but also it helps you to create potentially a better future for your family. And, you know, we can't overlook that. I think a lot of times we get very sentimental about these journeys, and they are meaningful and purposeful. But there's also the element of developing our careers to make sure that we can provide for our families and show them as well that, you know, all things are possible. And then the other thing that you mentioned that I completely relate to is this idea of, you know, being in a country away from your family and not having that support. You know, where you've not done something, your husband has picked up the slack, or where your husband's not done something, you've picked up the slack. It's been the two of you as a team working and navigating this journey of PhD motherhood, you know. I've been there as well. We have not had any family here, and our family's abroad as well. And that has meant that we have relied on each other quite a lot during this journey. And I'm so appreciative of that, as which I'm sure you are too.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so facing homelessness and a broken down car, I know you had that experience just weeks before your Viva. That must have been incredibly stressful for you. How did you find the strength to persevere and ultimately defend your thesis under these circumstances?
Well, yes. It actually felt like everything was conspiring against me. They were really testing my resilience that we talked about earlier, in ways that I never imagined. We did face eviction twice before actually going homeless. And that happened just in, you know, we went on holidays and we came back and our apartment was flooded. There was water everywhere and it was unsafe to live in, basically. And I know I repeat this again, but in Ireland, you cannot find a place to live, even if you want to. Hotels, we're living in the middle of nowhere now. So there was no hotels available either. Again, my amazing neighbors brought us in. So we lived with them. And that was 3 weeks before my Viva. That all happened when I was preparing for my Viva. I was studying in another neighbor's house because the neighbor that we were living with, they have twins as well. So basically we had 5 kids and 4 adults in that house. It was chaos. I found an unexpected strength that just came to me. You know, I think that the love and the responsibility for my kids, and I was so close to the end of my PhD. I was again on this boat. The waves were just slapping me in the face, left and right, but I could see the dry land. I could see the shore. It was just there. I just had to push through. You know, it wasn't easy. And instead, there was times where I questioned, but I had the strength to keep going. But then I would look at my children and I had to press on. I had to push through for them, for myself, and for my husband. Because as I said, he's been through this journey with me. And I know I've done the PhD, no one else. So, you know, I can't underestimate myself in this, but every single mental health breakdown, everything, he was there. He was there up at night, listening to me, talking about on my presentation, PowerPoint presentation that was going on hours and hours, and he would be just there looking at the slides, not knowing what was going on, but he would be there. So it was hard, and the car broke down, and I'm telling you this as well. There was no internet no electricity the day before my Viva. So I've done my Viva on the 20, can't even remember. Anyway, February, 21st of February. And the day before that, there was no electricity where we lived. So I had no ways to charge my computer or going online to search for things. I only had my hard copy.
Wow.
So chaos, complete chaos. My little one had then a virus or something, so we had no one to take care of her. She couldn't go to the crash, so it was just a disaster. And my husband in those weeks was working away, not there. He was sent away in another part of Ireland to work, so there was no way he could help either. But every time that something like that happened to me, I felt despair. I kept thinking, not always, but I tried really my best to think that everything was happening for a reason. I might not be the nice, way you want to know that something big is coming, but I think just the universe needed to know that I am ready and I'm determined to just push through whatever it presents in front of me with no hesitation. I'm not saying that I'm this, golden armor warrior, because I'm not. I had a tough time on my mental health, and I would like to explain later as well about this. But I remember when I was 13 or 14 in school, one of the teachers told me that I wasn't probably able to go to university because I wasn't clever enough. And then this happened again when then I went to university, despite everyone in academia saying that it wasn't for me. And obviously my mom and my father were very supportive. They knew that I could do it. In university, when my professor told me that I should change career because definitely nursing wasn't for me, I was never going to be a good nurse. And all those things, I just looked back and then I just had to think about my supervisor who in 1 second believed in me, and my husband and my kids, and everyone just think that I'm this amazing woman. I'm so clever. So if the people who love me think that I am so great and so amazing and so intelligent, that must be true, because otherwise they wouldn't say that. They wouldn't see me like that. If you look at your child in the eyes and you see those stars sparkling and all the love the baby feels for you, that's true love. That's what you have to concentrate to go through and push through those times. And that's what I've been doing. I've been just hugging my babies and hugging my kids. And as I said, they were in the boat with me. So they faced homelessness too. But we just pretended it was a sleepover. We just pretended, the broken car is because, we need a spaceship next time. We don't need a car. So we always tried to push through and make it a fun thing. It's been a hard journey. It's been not fair. And that's what you said before. You said that you do this PhD because, I know that one day we will be in a financial situation that will never bring us back to where we are now, because we're still homeless. We are still, I found a place until end of May, but then after end of May, what's going to happen to us? We've been rejected 4 times the mortgage, and for stupid things. First time because I was pregnant. The second time because I can't even remember why. So it was all things that, how is that possible? We are hardworking people. We have been working full time for so long. We are residents for so long. So we are going to have our mortgage. I'm sure of that. And one day we're going to have our house. And every time I feel pity for myself, oh, we don't deserve this. No, we don't. But do something about it. And I am pushing through, and I am seeing the positive, because if I were to get the first mortgage, we would have bought that horrible house that we didn't even like. So it wasn't the right time. So next time that we are going to have the mortgage, we're going to have our beautiful house with a garden and the trampoline that my kids want. And that's what we deserve. And that's what we're going to get.
I love how you have just flipped all of that hardship and unfortunate events, all of those unfortunate things, into motivation beyond measure. I can feel it coming from you, like this determination that, you know what, I am not going to let these things put me down. I am not going to let these things sink my ship. I am not going to let people who do not see my potential, right, determine my future. I am not going to let that happen. I am in control of my future. I get to decide who I become.
Exactly.
I get to decide what my life looks like. I get to live my life by design. And that's exactly what I'm sort of getting from you. Like, no, I am not going to navigate this journey by default. I'm not going to be tossed to and fro by all these things. I know why I'm here. I know what I am after and where I'm going, and nothing is going to stop me.
Exactly. It is exactly that. And I think that's so important for whoever is listening to us now, right now, to know. Everyone should know this. Everyone should feel empowered by whatever challenge they face, because push through, push hard, and you will get there.
And it doesn't mean that, I mean, we could be the most positive people in the world, as you have demonstrated. It doesn't mean that hardship is not going to come. It doesn't mean that the waves are not going to hit you to and fro. But believing that there's always a way, and we don't have to be victims of our situations. We don't have to be victims of our circumstances. We get to determine how this story ends. And I love that for you, because I feel like, you know, you could have given up so many times on this journey. Like, you could have said, you know what? This is too hard. I'm just not going to bother with this PhD right now. You know, this is not for me. Look, all these other people said that I'd never be able to survive academia. People have said that I shouldn't be a nurse, all these things. But I am here as living proof that I can do it. And it may look different for me. My situation is, you know, different, but it doesn't mean that it's impossible.
No, exactly. And I suppose sometimes it's good not to be a good listener. In my case, I was not listening to my teacher. I didn't listen to my professor. I just knew that I was going to do something great, and I had a greater purpose.
Yeah.
And here I am.
Yeah. So in terms of you mentioned about the mortgage and the financial setbacks that you experienced while you were doing your PhD. So what advice would you have for others facing similar challenges? I mean, we've talked about, you know, the fact that the PhD can open so many doors for you. So in terms of even navigating those financial worries and things, how did you manage that, and what advice would you have for others?
I suppose there's no magic potion for this, you know, financial issues. Unfortunately, I think that particularly if you're a PhD student, maybe some rare cases, there are people that, you know, have no financial issues and are absolutely fine. But the few PhD researchers I was talking to, they all had trouble with finance, because even if you're not self-funded, if you're funded to do your PhD, it's not much money. So I think that a lot of us are facing the same, particularly with kids. My suggestion, my recommendation is put the pride aside and accept any help is coming in your way. I was lucky, as I said, enough to have my grandmother to help me out. I know that not everyone is so lucky to have someone like that, you know. But I suppose just accept any help, even if it's just a kind word, you know, from a stranger. That is a gift, and put it in your pocket, because you need all the support from anyone. No one can do this alone.
No, so important to realize that. Yeah.
And yeah, I know we're talking about finance now, but I don't know what we did, but we did accept help as well from the government when COVID happened, for instance. I I like to talk, as you probably noticed by now. But now with this problem with our house, you as I said, the flood just destroyed everything. We didn't have clothes or shoes or anything. We came back from Brazil. My husband is Brazilian. We came back from Brazil, so we only had flip flops basically. And it was February or January, so it was kind of cold in Ireland. And we had nothing. We had nothing.
Wow.
Put the pride aside. Just accept things. Ask. Go to your neighbor and say, hi, do you have a size, 7 shoes? And that's it. This is not going to be forever. There's enough. There's an abundance in this world. There's an abundance in this universe. There's enough for everyone. And if you're kind enough to find people who share, and I'm not just saying about material stuff, but everything, share. And that's what I'm trying to do here as well, to share. Although it's uncomfortable sometimes, but sharing it's very important. And
I really like that, actually, because I think, two things there that you said that I found really interesting. The first is asking for help and accepting when help is needed, because a lot of times, especially, us as overachievers and mothers who think we can do everything and we're so powerful and we're so everything. And I think, the downside of that is not wanting to ask for help when we really need that help and support. And like you said, it could be, in some cases, it may be financial help from our family, but in other cases, it may be just moral support and encouragement and inspiration to keep going on a journey that is so hard to stay motivated on. And so, that's the reason why we have this podcast, so that we can inspire other mamas and share experiences on here to, let people know they're not alone in this. They're not alone in this journey. And I think that's one of the things that when you're on that journey and you are really feeling like in the pits of despair and feeling so alone, it's hard to even imagine that other people are actually going through this as well or have gone through it. And so even just the opportunity to share that with people and let them know, look, you are not alone. You can do this, with support, with a community, you can do this. And so find your sources of help wherever those may come from, and tap into that help, and don't be ashamed to ask for help. Like, so important. There was something else I was going to pick out, but I can't remember now. So we'll just move on. So you mentioned that your husband played a significant role as a stay-at-home dad and a massive supporter during your journey. How did you both navigate and support each other through the highs and lows of this PhD motherhood?
I think we found a routine in our chaos. As I said, unfortunately, my husband had to kind of drop in the priority list very quick to, in the beginning he was number 1, and then suddenly he was number 2, and then very suddenly he was number 4. So he had to kind of hang on there and be okay with that. He just knew he's a very intelligent man, so he knew that a PhD is not easy, and he actually was the one when I called after the meeting with the supervisor, and I called him and say, I think she just proposed me to do a PhD, but I'm going to think about it. And I remember his voice. I said, did you just say you're going to think about it? I said, yes, we have to think about it. I said, did you just refuse a PhD from Trinity College? And I was like, well, I didn't refuse. I just said, okay, you go back there, you go to that lovely lady and take it. So he was the first one who actually supported this. But as I said, he's clever. He knows that a PhD is not a walk in the park. So I have the feeling that his support was more than what I supported him the last few years, because again, it was just too much over my plate. He is very different from me, and thanks God, he's very different from me. He's very, very calm and quiet. He wouldn't overreact for anything. So that's what probably kept me sane when I was overreacting for the quantitative analysis being
Yeah.
a nightmare. He just sat me through, although he didn't know anything about statistics. He just tried to learn with me what were those numbers meaning. So yeah, he's been a great support. Yeah, and as I said, we found a routine. For us, what worked well for us is after all the kids are in bed and all it's silent and all is quiet, we can sit down and talk. And he would always start the conversation asking me, "How was your day?"
Yeah.
And then we would ask each other, what was the most positive moment of the day, or what was the most happy moment of the day, so that we can ground on and say, okay, a lot of positive things happened today.
Yeah.
And then sometimes we just watch movies, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But knowing that we are there for each other and just watch Netflix and that's their connection. That's our connection, and we'll always try. Obviously, like, it's a marriage, so obviously there's been up and downs.
Yeah.
There's been fights. There've been some of those waves in the boat almost drop us both out of the boat. But always throw the saving, the thing to save the person when they fell in the water.
Lifeboat. Do you mean like a life ring or something?
Life ring. Yeah, that's what it's called, isn't it?
Is that what it's called? I know what you mean, though.
Yeah, just throw something in the water to help the person and save the other person and let them come back on the boat.
Yes.
Because sometimes someone can just, either jump on purpose out of the boat or just maybe that's it, I'm gone. But sometimes people can, one of the, or either me or him, we could just fell and but yeah, the main thing, I suppose, and everyone who has a husband and kids, the relationship just changes after kids. Obviously, it's just a different kind of relationship. I'm not saying that it's better or worse. I'm just saying that it's different.
It is different. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's a different relationship. There's something way bigger than you and him now that needs to be, take care of. And that's what we've been doing, basically. I am ready to kind of prioritize him a little bit more now that my PhD journey is at the end, and obviously prioritize my children. And I've been doing that since I finished my Viva.
Amazing. And I know you've spoken really favorably about your supervisor, and for some reason, I was reflecting recently on that as well, and the gratitude for good supervisors, because you hear so many horrible stories about horrible PhD supervisors, or even the supervisor being the most horrible aspect of the PhD journey.
Yeah.
And so you mentioned that your supervisor believed in you from the moment she heard your research ideas, and she was super, super supportive. So how did her support impact your journey, and what advice would you give to others seeking mentorship or support even, or supervision in academia?
Well, as I said, I'm a big fan of my supervisor, and my supervisor has been so supportive. And as I said, she's the first one who said that I was amazing. And it's strange how just one person, and she's tiny, so one tiny person can make the difference in your life.
Yeah.
I'm forever grateful to her. And to be honest, also my co-supervisor, because she came in the picture after the first meeting, but she's been amazing too. She's I'm been very, very lucky. And a suggestion I can say to someone is that to think, obviously, the first impression is what it's important. So if you don't like your supervisor, try to find somewhere else, because you have to spend the next 4-5 years with this person. And if you don't like, I don't know, whatever you don't like about another person, just don't start a journey with that supervisor. But also what I can say is that it is 4 or 5 years of your life with the same person that you probably meet every month. So obviously you're not going to agree all the time. Just think that that person is also maybe a mom, or has a life outside of academia. So if sometimes you don't always share the same vision, just try to understand the other person. It's just like any other relationship, really, because that's what it is. It's not just being a supervisor and a PhD candidate. It is you create it's a different kind of relationship. It's a bond, and if you can really cultivate that bond and that relationship, it can actually grow and be a collaboration, and a positive relationship and collaboration. And that's the suggestion, recommendation I would say to anyone.
I really love that. I really love that, because I agree with you. I think it's a really important relationship to consider before you begin the PhD, right? Just carefully choose who you're going to have supervising you. But if that role is done really well, if that person is supportive and encouraging and offers you constructive, helpful feedback that you can take on board, you can, like you said, you may have differences of opinions at points, but if you're able to offer that mutual respect and good communication between you, it can be an amazing relationship. And, having gone through what you went through, where you've had people not believing in you, not seeing your potential, to have now at this stage somebody who's really encouraging and supportive and, sees the potential for your work. And I think that is, we can't underestimate the power of that. We cannot underestimate how crucial that is to our success. Of course, we work hard. Of course, we're clever. We're intelligent people, right? But if you have an unhelpful supervisor, that can be a real challenge in navigating a journey like this. So the fact that we had very supportive supervisors is just testament to me of the power of that relationship to just really help you through. There were so many times where I felt like giving up on my PhD, honestly. And my supervisor was one of the reasons, and one of the things that really kept me going, because she was just so supportive and so encouraging. And I needed that,
Yeah. I have to add that sometimes I needed someone, like bad cop, good cop. My supervisor has always been so good, but my second supervisor, sometimes she was tough, but and rightly so.
Yeah.
Sometimes she would tell me something like, "Oh, Nikki, your English is not a PhD level," and I would say, that hurts. But then I was like, oh, actually, wait a second. Yeah, that makes sense. I haven't read through my chapter. There's so many grammar error that shouldn't be there. So I needed that kind of, bad cop sometimes to give me just the motivation as well to be on my toes sometimes.
Yeah, and to challenge you on things. Yeah.
And challenging me, and she's been challenged me.
Yes.
I like her, but she's been, she's the one. She's the one who's...
She's kept you on your toes.
Oh my goodness, yeah. But I think just the combination between the two supervisors has been just a perfect combination.
Yeah. Sometimes I really think you do need that, actually.
Yes.
So with 3 young children and a demanding workload, self-care must have been really crucial for you. So how did you manage to prioritize your well-being amidst the chaos of your PhD journey?
I think, again, I'm going to say something very unpopular, and which probably needs to be said. So I'm not going to lie, and I'm not going to say, oh, I've been prioritizing my self-care and my well-being, because unfortunately I have not. And again, I'm not proud of that, but working full-time, doing the PhD full-time, there's not enough hours in a day to do anything for yourself. And what happened to me, and thank you for this question, because I really wanted to talk about this as well.
Yeah.
Every time that I was trying to do something, I would feel, it felt like it was wrong. And I know it's unhealthy to say that, but I had to put my kids in crash full time, and they love it there. They never had a problem to go in there. So I know they're well treated, and they love it there. They're having so much fun. But every time I was like, okay, let's go for a walk now, I would just feel some crippling guilt crippling on me. And I would just say, okay, no, they're there in school. You should be in front of the computer doing your work. And I would just go back quickly in front of the computer. So basically, in the last 4-5 years, I haven't done anything for myself. I know it's bad, but I think that I must not be the only one. I can't be the only one in this situation. So I heard some of your podcasts as well, some of your episodes, and I did read a lot. And well, my PhD is about resilience and coping mechanism and everything, but I haven't practiced myself. I particularly in the last few months, since I was wrapping up my thesis, basically. So since I'd say September of last year, I started to feel different. As I said before, I have always been a very chill person.
Mm-hmm.
Usually I would be very, very calm person. But I started, for instance, it started actually one day when I was doing grocery shopping. I was just in a supermarket. I wasn't doing anything wild for myself. I was just out. I dropped the kids in school. I went to the grocery shopping, and I was there in my cart, and I started to feel a tingling in my cheeks and a sweat in my palm, and I was like, oh, what's going on here? And then my heart was just start to race, and I felt it tightening in my chest, and I thought I was going to have a heart attack. That's what it felt like. I felt everything spinning. I had to actually hold on to the car, to the trolley, and breathe. And I was like, oh God, that's it. I'm having a heart attack. I'm dying. That's what it felt. I ran outside to get fresh air, and then I realized, wait a second, that's exactly what my patients tell me they feel when they're having a panic attack. And I was like, oh my God, am I having a panic attack actually? And once that knowledge reached my brain in that panic of feeling so overwhelmed, I started to breathe, and I went through the words I would say to my patient to calm down, ground yourself, touch something, breathe. And so I did, and I felt much better. But still, afterwards, I felt in shock. I had to sit down in my car for a little while and then go back to the shopping center, do my shop, and go back home. Try to figure out where this event came from. And I think it was the guilt of being outside the house and not doing my work. So, as I said before, that my determination can become actually obsession and unhealthy than determination, I would call it. Those episodes started to become more frequent. I could not do any self-care because only the thing I actually bought 10 classes of Pilates thinking I would go. I went once, and the anxiety it caused me to go Pilates, and I still have to do them. They're still there. Now I feel much better since I submitted my thesis and did the correction, the minor changes I have to do. But still, it's like a flu. even this morning when I went to the shopping center, I still, the flu, when you had the flu and then you recover, but you still have some sniffly nose and a little bit of cough. That's what I felt. I went to the supermarket and I said, okay, there's no reason for me to feel this way now. But I felt a tightening in my chest again. I was like, no, that cannot be happening. I haven't had those episodes in at least a month. But they are, every time they were happen, I don't know if anyone listening to this ever had a panic attack, but they feel like you are dying. And that's what I felt. I felt I was dying. And I tried to explain that to my husband and very few other people. But unless you felt what one feels like, you can't possibly understand.
Wow, gosh, that sounds very, very scary to go through. And I can imagine even just to talk about it is probably difficult for you. So I appreciate you sharing that and being honest here with us today. But have you been able to get any support with that? Like, have you been able to speak to your health care provider or doctor about getting some help?
Yeah, I'm lucky because I work in a treatment center, so that I'm surrounded by therapists. I've been sharing this. I shared this. I think the second time it happened, because at the first time I thought it was just one off. Then the second time happened again, and I did speak to a therapist there, and actually the senior therapist is obviously senior, so he has a lot of experience. But he looked at me one day and said, "Nikki, are you okay? You look like if I were to hug you now, you would start to cry." And I said, "Oh my God, yes, that's exactly how I feel." And then I start to talk. So the few people that I shared those feelings were with my husband, my mom, and a few of the therapists. So I'm fine. Like I know what they are. I know why they came, and that's the most important thing, because if you don't know the why, you wouldn't be able to. But it's to explain to everyone who's listening to now is that I haven't done any self-care, and that's probably why it came, because it went too far, and I couldn't even think of doing something that I would panic about it. And I feel now, as soon as I submitted, then I was fine. I even went for shopping the other day, and I haven't gone for something like that, just walking without a purpose, just walk in the street and look at the shops. I haven't done that in so long. But I think that every time I had the time off, obviously I would spend them with my kids and do whatever they wanted, because I felt already guilty of not spending enough time with them. So I obviously, no, this part, like this as I said, the mental health aspect of it, I lost control in the last few months, and that's when those attacks happened.
Gosh, that must have been incredibly hard for you. So thank you again for being so honest and vulnerable in sharing what you have been through and reflecting on perhaps what you could have done differently. And so speaking about doing things differently, if you had to go back in time, what would you do differently?
I would do even small changes. It doesn't have to be, a hike every day, or I love hiking. I love nature. But maybe just even go outside and look at the trees and just smell the air, and it's okay. And maybe just find someone in the same situation, because it's been very kind of lonely journey, particularly with COVID and having small kids and not being in my home country. Maybe someone with the same, in the same journey, that would say, okay, let's go for a walk together.
Yeah.
It looks like you need someone to talk to. It looks like you're in the same situation. Let's go for a coffee. So that's what I would suggest people just to. Yes, it's good that you're doing your PhD and you're prioritizing it and you're doing it as fast as you can, because you want to get you want to do it nice and you want to do it good. You want to do it fast. But don't do the mistake. So you learn by mistakes of others, I suppose. Just even put aside 5 minutes, just 5 minutes to look at the stars at night, or just do something for yourself, basically.
Yeah, I think that is so important. And I appreciate you really being honest about that and sharing that, because I don't think that's uncommon. I think a lot of people struggle with making time for themselves and switching off a little bit from the pressures of doing this PhD and juggling things at home. And, you know, it's a lot. It's a lot that we carry around. And you, like you said, we can't underestimate the power of a little act of kindness, you know, to just extend that hand to somebody else that you see is struggling, or just being a listening ear, or just being there to be a distraction for them from the pressures of this journey. And, you know, I think what you've highlighted there is the importance of it's okay to take a break. It's okay to pause, and it doesn't need to be long. It doesn't need to be elaborate. It doesn't need to be expensive. It doesn't even have to cost anything.
No.
Right? But just taking that little break for yourself, even if it's just a warm bath, a hot shower, your favorite food, you know, just something to claim for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Because on this journey, we are serving everyone. We are serving the PhD supervisors. We are serving the spouses. We're serving the kids. We're serving our jobs. We're serving everything and everyone. And just to take that little bit of something for me, a few minutes for myself, or something that I want to eat, something that I want to do, something that I want to enjoy for a moment. And, you know, self-care can be so simple. And I love that you have begun to prioritize that a little bit more and,
Yes.
you know, just really understand the importance of it for yourself. Really, really love that.
I, as I said, I always felt lucky and everything. So I think that what happened to me, you know, this anxiety that I experienced, I think it came again for a reason. It was just to tell myself, just calm down, prioritize the right things now. I the last 2 months since I submitted my thesis, since I've done my viva, I've been doing a lot of things. I started to read books for just reading books, not academics books, just nice books, which it was 4 years that I didn't do. And I started to do hikes again. I started to, and with no guilt, because I realized I've done enough for the family. I've done enough for everyone. So it was something negative that I managed to transform in positive. And I suppose it's very important thing to do. And it helped me so many times.
Yeah.
I feel, again, lucky that happened to me. Now, I didn't feel lucky at that time, you know, when it happened, but I feel lucky now that it happened, because I learned something that I never experienced before.
Yeah. And I guess the benefit of just being very honest about these things in this space is, you know, we are a few steps ahead of many people who may be listening to this podcast. So there may be people listening to this podcast who are, you know, just starting out on their journey, or just contemplating beginning a PhD journey, or there may be people who are just in the middle of that journey. And if we can reflect honestly and say, look, these are the mistakes that I've made. These are the things that I found difficult. These are the pitfalls that I fell into. And here's how you can avoid them. Here's how you can at least give them some consideration in advance. The solution may look different for everybody. So not everybody's idea of self-care is the same, but just making that space to say, look, it's okay to look after myself. Because I always say this, I say, I am the asset. I am the asset on this journey. You know, if I don't look after myself, what if I don't even get to finish the journey, right? What if I don't get to actually complete the PhD because I've fallen apart? So we are the asset in this. And, you know, if we can look back and say, look, these are the mistakes that I made. I didn't look after myself. I didn't consider self-care important. But now on reflection, I can say, look, this thing is important. It's important to really look after yourself on this journey. And if you are at the stage where, there's still time for you to make that change, it's never too late. It's never too late to make a little tweak. Even if you finished a PhD, right? It's still not too late to make those little tweaks and say, yes, I want to prioritize at least a few moments a day, even if it's just a few minutes for myself.
Yes.
What would you say then were 3 vital lessons that you learned as a mama, a wife, a healthcare professional, navigating a PhD journey that helped you to find that joy that you spoke of amidst all of these challenges? What are 3 vital lessons that you'd like to share?
Well, I suppose feeling that you have a purpose in what you're doing. I suppose that's one of the things that I learn as vital. So purpose, I'd say. I say unconditional love, because we are all mamas here, so we know what unconditional love looks like. And just the fact that we deserve it, and just the fact that I'm proud that every day I can and feel it, and be able to share it, as I said before, be able to share this unconditional love, not only with my family, but anyone, just being kind and just be caring to others. Enjoy the journey as well. I know you've spoken about this in previous episodes, but it is true, even the moment, and take it as a personal experience here after been listening to me for the last while. But take it as a personal experience that everything happened for a reason. And even the worst things and the worst challenges that happens to you during this journey can be actually taken, looked at, analyzed, and transformed to something good.
So good. So good. So powerful. I can't even add to that. I just think that those 3 things are really the pinnacle of what I call purposeful success, and just navigating this difficult journey, but realizing that it's not just about the destination. It's not just about getting to the end of it, but it's that personal growth that we talked about at the beginning, and how you can maximize that while you're on the journey. And these challenges, they will come, but they will make you stronger. You will finish this journey as a much stronger person when you're open to that growth, right?
Exactly.
And so now that you have successfully defended your thesis and you finish your PhD, what advice would you have for other mothers embarking on their own doctoral journeys, especially those facing similar challenges?
Well, I suppose that an advice is that if you ever feel losing hope, look in the stars that reside in your children's eyes to find the strength to push through. And I suppose the advice is that we all have kids here. We're still in this journey. And if you're listening to this, it's because you probably want to find a purpose as well, and you want to find strength, or just some advice. So take whatever challenge is in front of you and just try to transform it in something good, because you have a child, or maybe some few children that are looking up to you. And this journey, which is sometimes it's a solo journey for some people, but not for a mama. For a mama is not, as I said, it's in that boat. It's not only you, so you have to make sure that that boat got through those waves and those storms. There will be storms, there will be waves. Just push through. Just keep going, because the dry line is there, and you have people on board. You have other life on board with you. I know it sounds like it sounds overwhelming that you're, if you stop the boat and you just go to the first harbor, it's not just you that jumps out of the boat, but there's other people following you, and they will follow you everywhere. Mind, it's not that, they are going to follow you, but find a purpose, find the strength. And as I said, my kids have very dark eyes, so they have those stars when I look at them in the eyes, and I keep talking about those stars because those little lights is what just made me find purpose when I couldn't find it. And I've been through so much. I've been through, as I said, homelessness and financial crisis. I've been evicted multiple times, refused, and not only the mortgage, I've been refused in life so many times. And I had, there was COVID in between, and my family's been so far away, although they still been kind of present, my mom and my dad. But I had complication, physical complications. I had panic attacks and everything, and I kept pushed through. So if people ask me how I did, I don't know. What I know is that I didn't give up, and I pushed through, and that's why today, with my determination, with my passion, and with my love, you can call me today Dr. Nicki.
Yes. So good. Oh my goodness. What an inspiration. Nicki. I am sure that your story resonates so deeply with many other mothers who are pursuing their PhDs or their other academic endeavors, whatever they may be, while also navigating the complexities of motherhood and life's unexpected hurdles. And your story just highlights the importance of support, both from loved ones, but also from within yourself, as well as the power of resilience in the face of adversity. Your dedication to your research, despite the countless obstacles that you've encountered, speaks volumes about your passion and your determination. Your ability to prioritize your goals while also ensuring the well-being of your family is truly admirable. And as you rightly mentioned, your defense was not just about the thesis, but it was a testament to those years of hard work, the sacrifices that you made, the unwavering beliefs in yourself. And your story is a reminder that with resilience, determination, and a supportive community, absolutely anything is possible. So thank you so much for sharing this inspiring journey with us, Nicki, Dr. Nicki. Your story will undoubtedly resonate with so many mothers on their PhD journeys, and I know it's going to be a beacon of hope and inspiration for every single person listening to this. So thank you for being on the show today. I really appreciated your story.
Thank you so much for having me and for listening to me and giving me the opportunity to share this journey, because I think that it will probably help someone else out there, even if it's only one person. At least one person will be having some more skills and more coping mechanism to go through this journey, and knowing that no one is alone. And if anyone wants to ever have a talk, just approach another peer, approach another PhD candidate, another mama as well in the street. Someone. Kindness is out there, and if you can't find kindness, be one. Be one with kindness.
Love that. Love that. And I know that, there may be mamas who are listening to this who may want to get in touch with you or follow you on social media. Did you want to share any links? If so, I can always leave them in the show notes. But where can people find you online?
Well, I am on LinkedIn and Twitter. And and I'm always available on via emails. But I think the best way to contact me would be LinkedIn and Twitter, which you can put the link afterwards. Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay. So I will put those links in the show notes. Anybody who wants to follow Dr. Nicki. But thank you so much for being on the show. I will see you soon.
Thank you. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you so much.
Thank you for tuning in to the Mrs. Mummy PhD podcast. I hope you've enjoyed the episode, and if you did and you want in on this movement, please head over to mrsmummyphd.com or scholarlymamas.com. If you want to do your PhD well without sacrificing yourself or those you love dearest, then you need your hands on my free training called the PhD with Purpose Webinar. When you join us inside Scholarly Mamas Explore, you'll get access to this free training and so much more. Remember, Mama, these are our journeys of becoming.